Horror is clearly inspired by many different things, for example sci-fi, westerns, and great epics, but were they inspired by the master of science fiction and fantasy horror? Hi, this is Rima from Mass Effect Odyssey, and today I'll be looking at how Mass Effect was inspired by Lovecraftian horror. Lovecraftian horror is, quote, a subgenre of horror fiction that emphasizes the cosmic horror of the unknown more than gore or other elements of shock, though these still may be present, and it was named after the author H.P. Lovecraft. Born on August 20, 1890, H.P. Lovecraft lived in Providence, Rhode Island, and was a very gifted child. He showed a fascination and understanding of literature at a very young age, with being particularly inspired by Gothic horror. He was also a fairly sickly child who suffered from sleep disorders and night terrors that caused him to be isolated, but encouraged his interest in science. Throughout his adulthood, Lovecraft continued to be isolated but was an amateur writer, suffering from illness and money problems. He eventually died on March 15, 1937 due to cancer of the small intestine. However, after his death, Lovecraft's works such as The Call of Cthulhu have inspired much of the horror genre to follow. So what are the elements of Lovecraftian horror, and how do they relate to Mass Effect? Misanthropy, or the distrust of humanity, and or anti-anthropocentrism, the idea that humanity isn't the center of the universe. Though Mass Effect is very much about the story of humanity becoming part of the galactic community, one of its central premises is that humanity isn't all alone, and that there is also a distrust of the new galactic member. The use of slime and gelatinous materials over blood and gore. Mass Effect doesn't heavily focus on either, however both are shown in small aspects. For example, the final scene on the Citadel showcases dead bodies everywhere, but other aspects such as the Collectors and the Rachni are more associated with goo rather than blood. Antiquated wording, for example using terms like man of science rather than scientist. This doesn't really relate to Mass Effect, and this may be due to the fact that Mass Effect is set so far in the future. Isolated protagonists are another common factor. Shepard can definitely be seen as a detached character with a lack of a background and seemingly lack of connections at the start of the game. The concept of hopelessness and setbacks. Protagonists in Lovecraftian literature suffer from tragedy even though they achieve their goal. Their odds are never seemingly in their favour. There's definitely a correlation to Mass Effect here. Shepard's victories always seem to be balanced with setbacks, for example their detention after the events of Mass Effect 2 and their death at the end of Mass Effect 3, not to mention the overwhelming odds of the Reapers winning the war. The idea of unanswered questions. A very important aspect of Lovecraftian literature is the fact that the story may leave unanswered questions that never may be answered. Intentional or not, the Mass Effect trilogy does have questions for the fans to this day. The concept of sanity, the idea that the protagonist's sanity is tested throughout the story. The strain of the mind is only really touched in Mass Effect 3, with Shepard suffering from stress and the weight of the war, with their sanity being under attack. Indoctrination always plays a part into this idea, and is throughout the trilogy with multiple characters. And finally, the unknown great sinister evil, the concept of a foreboding, almost paranormal evil. Much like Cthulhu, the Reapers are thought to be an unknown, mysterious evil creature, seemingly ancient. Described as a winged creature with a tentacled face and almost stone-like skin, Cthulhu is part of the Great Old Ones, a band of ancient evils. In Lovecraft's 1928 The Call of Cthulhu, it was described as, quote, a monster of vaguely anthropoid outline, with an octopus head whose face was a mass of feelers, a scaly, rubbery-looking body, prodigious claws on the hind and forefeet, and long, narrow wings behind. One of the interesting aspects of Cthulhu is that it lurks beneath the depths of the ocean and starts to infiltrate people's minds, causing them to bend to its will, a very similar concept to Leviathan. For example, quote, thoughts that spread fear to the dreams of the sensitive and called imperiously to the faithful to come on the pilgrimage of liberation and restoration.
Then what are you?
Something more.
Other great old ones are Yog-Sothoth, a creature of many eyes and the god of the cosmos, Sogoth, a green slime ball made of multiple eyes, the Night Gaunts, inspired by Lovecraft's own night terrors that apparently look like oily, faceless shadows with wings, not unlike Shepard's own nightmares, Athoth, a demon that can control time and space and can form black holes to kill, and Tescoa, an evil giant black toad god, and excuse my pronunciations for any of these names. The Mass Effect trilogy shows many similar aspects to Lovecraftian horror, from the obvious correlations of the Reapers and Leviathan to Cthulhu, to more obscure similarities, for example the approach of showcasing humanity, to the aspects of isolation and sanity. Regardless, Mass Effect definitely has overtures of darker tones that can make the player uneasy, to creepier missions such as Overlord and the Ardat-Yakshi Monastery, to more unsettling themes such as the fate of the Collectors. For more on Lovecraftian horror, you can read a very brief article on some of the themes in the Daily Dots, A Beginner's Guide to H.P. Lovecraft, which we've linked in the description below. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and share the video to help it grow, and as always, we look forward to seeing you guys next time.